economy. Just to talk a little bit on what I think is a real problem is financial parasitism over the public finances, particularly in relation not only to the significance of debt, public debt, but also the significance of the participation of finance capital in relation to the productive system. And in one case at least, the new financial scheme that has developed to finance the growth of infrastructural investment in the energy sector has affected the development of the two main public enterprises in Mexico, Pemex and Comisión Federal de Electricidad. And in these cases, the cost of this new development of financing has become really aggressive, and it's part of the crisis that they are living on, or they are suffering. Now, very briefly, I can tell you that I have found at least three main developments in terms of finance, trade, and political development. In terms of finance, going through the road of decentralization, what we have seen recently is the promotion of constitutional reforms within the states in order to raise or to open up some room for what they call new contracts of private and public collaboration. This is one way to open the road to private investment in financing and construction and development of infrastructure for public services, including the possibility of recovering the fees of these activities by the private sector. And for the states in Mexico, this is a big change, because up until now there are constitutional constraints for the government to have indebted or to have the development of debts beyond their period. So this really is a new development. But this has been developed through the state agreements in the state legislative. On the other hand, we are dealing with the real hot issue for the beginning of this year is the end of the phasing out of agriculture by NAFTA, and this will mean that we have open borders in corn and beans and sugar. And so there we have seen a lot of protest and demonstration against the continuation of NAFTA, and particularly the peasant movement is claiming to take out of NAFTA this, the basic corns for the future. So it has been called a huge demonstration for the end of the month in Mexico City, where the peasant organization and the trade unions have announced that they will collaborate to protest against this issue. Well, the thing is that with this process going on, it is expected at least a 10% of increase in the Mexican migration to the U.S. Already we have almost 29 million people of Mexican origin living in the U.S. So that will mean more than 600,000 people per year for the next 5 years or more. in relation to the more specific political development, we are entering into what we call an authoritarianism of a new type. It's like a state of exception, but permanent. Because now the police have extraordinary powers and to some extent becomes an instrument of justice and the judgment, because they can keep a citizen detained even 80 days. And now we are having a new definition of what they call organized crime. And organized crime now is 3 or more people associated in order to organize something to consider a punish conduct. Now the government can have people in what they call preventive prison up until 2 years. And they can also have discretionality to make a convention for moving prisoners from one place to the other, all over the country and out of the country. So this is one of the most worrying things and has been contested by some human rights groups. In relation to the labor law reform, they have tried to recover the main arguments of what they call, once was called Ley Abascal, that was promoted by the then Minister of Labor, but they have moving partially into different industry branches, looking for changes in collective contracts, in the use of hours, extra payment, in just reorganizing the authority of the registration of trade unions. And now what we have seen is growing importance of the people subcontracted working in the main state enterprises. So, and they have tried to take out pension funds, medical services, vacation, and the rest of gains that the working class had in Mexico. We now have 10 million workers, which it is almost 25% of the working population, with a minimum wage, and 9.5 million workers with earning 2 minimum wage, which it is less than $9 a day. And this will mean that the retreat of the working class, on the one hand, has deepened and has been also suffering the problem of unemployment. So the explosiveness of the Mexican situation is really very worrying. And to some extent, we are still in the middle of the crisis, not precisely in terms of the economic financial condition, but with a lot of red lights in relation to the social problem. So I will leave this for my colleagues.
Alejandro was partly speaking from his essay this summer in the special issue of Monthly Review on Latin America that was on his article on Mexico that was in that issue. We'll now turn to Tom Marois, who's speaking partly